book 1. So you should be able to look at the screen now. I hope it is visible. You can see. So let us continue with the epic similes. The epic similes that Milton had, he has been comparing the fallen angels lying on the burning lake uh, with certain, you know, kind of these leaves, autumnal leaves in Vallombrosa. So Milton is comparing the epic similes, rather is writing about them, and he's continuing with his epic similes, or scattered sedge afloat, when with fierce winds Orion armed and vexed the Red Sea coast. So here he's describing how scattered sedge. What does scattered sedge mean? Sedge here means seaweed, and the Hebrew name for the Red Sea is the Sea of Sedge. So he's referring to the Red Sea. So whose waves overthrew had vexed the Red Sea. So here we'll find afloat when with fierce winds, Orion armed hath vexed the Red Sea coast. Orion is a constellation in the sky. And when this constellation was visible in the sky, it was thought that it would bring stormy weather. So it has been called armed because it was supposed to represent a giant hunter with a belt, a sword, and a club. So Orion is a constellation, and it was the rising of the of Orion in the sky was thought to bring foul weather. So Orion, as if it is being personified like a human being, so it is uh, armed with all kinds of weapons. Now, in Virgil's The Aeneid, it is mentioned as the harbinger or bringer of rain, cloud, and wind in book 1 as well as in book 4. So Milton is following in the footsteps of Virgil. Had vexed the Red Sea coast, whose waves overthrew Busiris and his Memphian chivalry. Now, vexed means it means troubled or harassed, from Latin vexare, vexare. So vex the Red Sea means troubled. Now, who was Busiris? Busiris was a legendary king of Egypt, mentioned in Greek mythology in connection with Hercules. Now, you know from your reading of in semester 2, when you were studying in semester 2, you read the history of English prose. And there you read about Sir Walter Raleigh. Sir Walter Raleigh, who wrote The History of the World. And Sir Walter Raleigh, in The History of the World, had mentioned this person or this king, Egyptian king called Busiris. Egyptian king called Busiris, who was a king who had persecuted the Israelites in Egypt. So he had been an oppressor of the Israelites. So Busiris and his Memphian chivalry. Memphian here means Egyptian. So Memphis was the capital of Egypt in the earliest period of history. And it was situated at the apex of the Nile, the river Nile Delta, near the pyramids. And later on, the Egyptians moved the capital from Memphis to Thebes, Thebes. So Memphian chivalry means, generally it means knighthood or a kind of a courtesy befitting a knight. But here the term is used to mean cavalry or the army. So the Memphian chivalry of the pharaoh, the Egyptian kings are called the pharaoh, as you know. So the army composed of the chariots and horsemen. So that is called the Memphian chivalry. Now Milton chooses to identify this pharaoh with Busiris, who was a very oppressive kind of an Egyptian king. While with perfidious hatred, they pursued the sojourners of Goshen. So perfidious hatred. So the Egyptians had earlier allowed the Israelites to go away from Egypt. But later on, they changed their minds and they pursued them in order to persecute them. So with a perfidious hatred, the sojourners of Goshen, the sojourners of Goshen, now Goshen was the country on the eastern side of the Nile. So the Israelites, they were staying there for a period of about 430 years. So they were living in this city of Goshen. So the sojourners, meaning a temporary residents. So the Israelites are the sojourners of Goshen. So they were pursued. So from the sojourners of Goshen who beheld from the safe shore their floating carcasses and broken chariot wheels. So from the safe shores, meaning you know the story of the Israelites, how they crossed the Red Sea, how Moses with his wand, he pointed to the Red Sea and the sea parted and the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. When the Egyptian army, that is the Memphian chivalry, were trying to follow the Israelites, the sea again came back. So the waves of the sea, it drowned the Egyptian army. So obviously, as is mentioned here, who were looking at the floating carcasses? Carcass means dead bodies, human dead bodies. And broken chariot wheels, obviously, the Egyptian army was at a disarray because of the Red Sea, waves of the Red Sea, which came back and drowned them. So thick bestron, abject and lost ladies covering the flood under amazement of their hideous change. So likewise, the epic simile is about it is a comparison between the Egyptian army, which was drowned in the waves of the Red Sea. And the point of comparison is obviously they are compared with the fallen angels who were lying there on the shore of the burning lake. Bestron means they were lying, they floated thickly in confusion on the surface of the lake. So under amazement means they were stunned, they were lying there. So obviously they had undergone a hideous change, a kind of a change. Their glory has withered. From the time they had been living in heaven, now they are no longer living in heaven. They have been thrown into hell. So they are now, the fallen angels are transformed from, bright angels to fallen angels. And their lovely forms, beautiful forms have undergone a hideous change. So obviously this is the point of the comparison, the epic simile that Milton uses here. I hope you have understood how the fallen angels lying on the shore of the burning lake, they are compared with the leaves, autumnal leaves in Vallombrosa lying on the brooks and the Egyptian army after their rout. Okay, so now let us move on. So Satan was now trying to rouse them who were lying there on the shore of the burning lake. He called so loud that all the hollow deep of hell resounded. So Satan, obviously, he wanted to call the fallen angels, and he called them loudly, and the hollow deep of hell resounded. There was an echo. And here you will find, just a moment, Satan called to them. Now he started calling them princes, potentates, warriors, the flower of heaven, once yours, now lost. So he is referring to the erstwhile glorious state of the fallen angels. He is now asking them to get up. Princes, potentates. So obviously he's saying, he's calling them, they are like princes and they are potentates. Obviously they are lying there in an abject position. They are warriors, the flower of heaven, once yours, now lost. So heaven was once belonged to you. Once it belonged to you, but now you have lost it. If such astonishment as this can seize eternal spirits, so he is surprised to see how they are stunned, lying there on the surface of the burning lake. So it is Satan's fourth speech. Satan's fourth speech beginning from princes, potentates. So he is saying that such astonishment, it is really shameful that such a hideous change has come upon you. You are eternal spirits, that is, immortal spirits. Or have we chosen this place after the toil of battle to repose your wearied virtue? And Satan is mockingly, he is very contemptuous. He is mockingly addressing the fallen angels. He is saying, are you very tired after the battle with God in heaven, that you have chosen this place to rest after the battle, the very strenuous toil of battle? Repose means to rest, your varied virtue. So obviously virtue means power or valor. So obviously he is very, he is mocking them for the ease you find to slumber here as in the vales of heaven. So you are very almost sleeping in a comfortable way. You find this burning lake to be an appropriate place for resting after your strenuous battle in heaven. So you are sleeping here. Slumber means to sleep. Or in this abject posture have we sworn to adore the conqueror? Or is it a kind of a posture, an attitude that you have adopted to kind of adore, to pay your homage, to worship the conqueror, that is God, who now beholds cherub and seraph rolling in the flood? So obviously the cherubims and the seraphims, they seem to be regarded as two mutually exclusive groups. So these angels are divided into two groups, the cherubims and the seraphims. And he's saying that it seems to me that you are lying here, you have adopted this posture to show your allegiance and to worship God in this abject position. So who now beholds rolling cherub and seraph rolling in the flood with scattered arms and ensigns. So arms and ensigns, your weapons are lying beside you. An ensign means, ensign is the flags, the banners, so that you were holding. Okay, so Satan is very contemptuous. He is rebuking them. Till anon, his swift pursuers from heaven gates discern the advantage, and descending tread us down, thus drooping. So he's saying that the Almighty's angels, they are the swift pursuers. Who are the swift pursuers? Pursuers are the angels who are fighting for God. So they would come down to hell, and they will understand that you are lying here in an abject position, and they will understand that they are at an advantageous position, and they will descend upon us, and they will trade us down, thus drooping. So we are lying here, or with linked thunderbolts transfix us to the bottom of this gulf. Awake, arise, or be forever fallen. So this is a very stirring speech, a speech which is mixed with a blend of promise, mockery, and menace. So Satan is saying that the angels of God, if they see that you are lying here on the burning lake in this abject attitude, they will come down and fix you on the floor of the burning lake with thunderbolts. So you will never be able to get up. So it is high time that you should get up, or you will remain like this forever fallen. So obviously it is a very stirring speech of Satan. So obviously they have to rise from their attitude of prostration. So Satan is trying his best to move the fallen angels by a mixture of hope, shame, and fear. His fourth speech is a very short one, but it is full of three elements. There is hope that if you rise, you might still regain heaven. There is a kind of a shameful element in the way you are lying there, adoring God's power. And there is a chance that the angels will come down and transfix you to the bottom of the burning lake. So there is an element of fear also. So this is the fourth speech of Satan, which is full of, words which are very stirring and urging them to get up, the fallen angels, addressed to the fallen angels. Now, what is the effect of this speech? Now the fallen angels, they are regaining consciousness. And after this resounding speech by Satan, they heard and were abashed, and up they sprung upon the wing, as when men wont to watch on duty, sleeping found by whom they dread, rouse and bestir themselves ere well awake. So there is a kind of a simile here. This is not an epic simile, but there is a simile with what is the state of the fallen angels now? The fallen angels, until now, they had been lying on the floor of the burning lake, unconscious. But now, because of Satan's stentorian voice, his resounding voice, which resounds all throughout hell, they heard and they were abashed, meaning ashamed of themselves. And up they sprung upon the wing. So they sprang up, balancing themselves on their wings, as when men. So they are compared with the guards, wont to watch. Wont means who are asked to watch. So obviously, the guards, if some guards are asked to watch, sentinels are asked to watch, if they fall asleep, and if the master or their employer comes and rebukes them, they spring up and they feel very much shameful, embarrassed. So likewise, these fallen angels, they sprang up on duty. So they were on duty, but they had fallen asleep. So they are rebuked by the employer. Sleeping found by whom they dread. Sleeping found by whom they dread, like men found sleeping at their posts. So by whom meaning by those whom. So it is a Latinized construction common in Milton's work. Rouse and bestir themselves ere well awake. So they instantly regain their consciousness and they rouse and they start themselves. So obviously they are now, they were still not fully awake. Nor did they not arouse and bestir themselves ere well awake. So they were not fully conscious, but Satan's voice had reached their ears and they are slowly uh, bestirring themselves. Nor did they not perceive the evil plight in which they were, or the fierce pains not feel. So obviously, they did not fail to understand, perceive meaning understand. Uh, so the two negatives used here, nor did they not perceive, nor and not. So they were able to perceive the evil plight in which they were, the evil condition in which they were there, and also the fierce pains that they were feeling. So the two negatives become an affirmative. So obviously, yet to their general's voice they soon obeyed innumerable. General's voice, Satan's voice. Satan was their leader, their general. So they woke up, they regained consciousness, and they stood up. And their numbers were innumerable. Now comes another epic simile. There is this epic simile here, describing the fallen angels. Earlier, they had been described with the fallen leaves in Vallombrosa, or the Egyptian army swallowed by the Red Sea. And now you will find another epic simile. So you should mark these areas, just make notes in your exercise books where the epic similes are beginning. As when the potent rod of Amram's son in Egypt's evil day waved round the coast. So now there's this epic simile. Amram's son. Amram's son is Moses. Moses, the leader of the Israelites. And the story is related in the Old Testament book of Exodus, book 6, line 20. Exodus means a kind of a migration, going away from somewhere. So when the Egyptians had allowed the Israelites to go away from Egypt to go to their new land, but the Egyptian king went back on his word and pursued them. So what did Moses do? Amram's son, the potent rod, meaning the wand, the magic wand in the hand of Moses. What did he do? In Egypt's evil day. So Milton applies this, how the plague of locusts waved round the coast, up called a pitchy cloud of locusts, warping on the eastern wind. So Moses waved his wand, and a cloud of locusts invaded Egypt. So it was a evil day for Egypt. Warping on the eastern wind. Warping meaning the peculiarity of the movement of the locusts. They did not move straight. and swiftly to their destination, but they went wherever the wind blowed them to. So Milton uses this word warping, meaning a kind of an irregular zigzag motion of the locusts. So the locusts came to Egypt, that o'er the realm of impious Pharaoh hung like night and darkened all the land of Nile. The land of Nile is obviously Egypt, as you can understand. So obviously, what happened? The locusts were all over the realm of the impious Pharaoh. They hung like night. So they came during the daytime, but they were so innumerable in number that the sky was overcast. And it seemed that night has come, though it was still daytime. So, and darkened all the land of Nile. So this was what happened. Okay. So numberless were those bad angels seen hovering on wing under the cope of hell, twixt upper, nether, and surrounding fires. So Milton is actually comparing these locusts, the innumerable locusts who invaded Egypt at the behest of Moses' rod, wand. So they were as innumerable as the fallen angels. The fallen angels were as innumerable as these locusts, numberless, bad angels, the evil angels. They were hovering on wing. They were flying under the cope of hell. So they were gathered there on the cope of hell, that is on this area in the three regions. The uppermost, the nether means the downside, and the middle areas. Still, as a signal given, the uplifted spear of their great Sultan, waving to direct their course in even balance down the light on the firm brimstone and fill all the plain. So they were flying noiselessly over the burning lake. But suddenly, Satan gives them a signal. The Sultan, the great Sultan. Who is the great Sultan? Obviously, Satan. Satan is the great Sultan. So Milton is trying to give us Satan's sovereignty. Sultan, the use of the word Sultan implies grandeur and absolute power. Also, as you know, it is the title of the Islamic leaders. So, as opposed to the Christian rulers. So here, Satan waved his spear and in even balance down the light on the firm brimstone. So they, from this area of the burning lake, they gathered on the burning plain and fill all the plain. A multitude like which, again, this epic simile will come. Another epic simile. So we have to be very attentive to, demarcate or understand all the epic similes that are coming one after another. So how Milton is trying to give us an idea of the sheer number, the innumerable fallen angels. It is not possible to count them. A multitude like which the populous north poured never from her frozen loins to pass Rhine or the Danube. So the swarming armies of fallen angels, they are compared to the hordes of northern barbarians who were, the pagan tribes, the Goths, the Huns, and the Vandals, all those Germanic tribes. So the Germanic tribes from Central Europe, who in the 5th century, they poured into the Roman Empire And obviously, Milton is comparing them. Now, Milton is using a number of images to compare the idea of the vast number of the fallen angels. So when they are resting on the water, they are compared to the fallen autumnal leaves or the floating sage. When they are flying to a cloud of locusts, darkening the land of the Nile. And after they have descended on the farm land to the whole hordes of the barbarian invaders pouring from the northern regions. So these are the descriptions. Now, poured from her frozen loins mean the loins here means the lands. Frozen means snow covered. Rhine here, Rhine, that is the spelling is different. It is the river Rhine in Germany, Rhine. And the Danube is the river Danube. It is also in Germany, Danube. These are the Germanic tribes who are being referred to. When her barbarous sons came like a deluge on the south. So barbarous sons, obviously the tribe of the Vandals, Vandals, who crossed the Strait of Gibraltar after the capture of Carthage in 429, and they established themselves in Africa. Beneath Gibraltar, meaning south of Gibraltar. So obviously they came from those areas. And the innumerable Germanic tribes, pagan tribes, they were not Christian. So they are being compared to the innumerable fallen angels. Beneath Gibraltar, to the Libyan sands. Libyan sands here used for North Africa. Libyan sands meaning North Africa. Forthwith from every squadron and each band, the heads and leaders thither hast where stood their great commander. So from every part of this, burning plain, solid rock of burning plain, there were squadrons of these fallen angels, armies of these fallen angels. And they were gathering and coming, assembling before their leaders. The leader Satan, and also Beelzebub is there. So from every squadron and each band, the heads and leaders thither hast where stood their great commander, obviously Satan, godlike shapes and forms, excelling human. So obviously they were angels after all. Though they were fallen angels, their brightness has been reduced drastically, but still they were angels and they are superior to human beings. So obviously they had lost their glory, but still they retained their godlike shapes and forms, excelling human. Princely dignities and powers that erst in heaven sat on thrones. So sometime earlier, they had been occupying the high seats of heaven. They had been sitting there, princely dignities. Though of their names in heavenly records now be no memorial, blotted out and erased by their rebellion from the books of life. So Milton is saying that as long as they had been faithful towards God, their names had been there in the book of life. So the book of life is the book of God, where all the good angels, the names of the good angels, the loyal angels are there. But now these fallen angels' names, the names of these fallen angels have been erased. They have been blotted out. And the heavenly records, they do not have the names of these fallen angels. And they have now been, they have now come to be known in different names. And Milton will give us a long catalogue of the devils. They are now devils, the fallen angels. And how from being loyal and good angels, they have been transformed because of their rebellion against God, because they sided with Satan, how they have been reduced to evil, fallen angels, and they have been worshipped in different areas of the world in idol form. So obviously Milton will give us the names, the new names of these fallen angels, and he will mention the tribes who worshipped them and what were the rites that were performed when they were being worshipped and by which tribes they were being worshipped. And uh, I will give you, I will upload in the LMS. Hope you are checking the LMS. Kind of a a PDF document where the names of these fallen angels, their characteristics, and the tribes that worship them, and their appearances. All these will be mentioned. So it will be difficult, sorry, not difficult, easy for you to read and remember. Actually, questions are not set from this area, but I'll just read them, the catalog of the devils. And Milton is following Homer. As I told you, Homer had given in his the Iliad the catalog of the ships which belonged to the Greeks and the Trojans before the Battle of Troy. So Milton is following the epic convention. So this is an epic, an English epic, and Milton is following the Greek and the Roman model. So you will understand how their names have been erased from the book of life. Obviously, God has, the book of life is mentioned in the Bible, and the names of the worthy angels who are worthy of God's favor, their names are there in the book of life. Now, books of life, Milton uses the plural form to indicate the immense number of the fallen angels. So obviously, Milton is trying to give us the numerous, the number which cannot be counted of the fallen angels. Nor had they yet among the sons of Eve got them new names, still wandering o'er the earth through God's high sufferance for the trial of man. So Milton is saying that they had sons of Eve, of course, means mankind, human beings. After their rebellion and their removal into hell, they did not get new names among the different tribes of human beings till they wandered over the earth and through God's high sufferance, meaning owing to God's supreme and mysterious granting them freedom to test mankind. They were granted freedom by God to test mankind. So the names given to the fallen angels by their worshippers in different areas like Canaan, in Egypt, in Greece, and elsewhere. So obviously, God had allowed them to get new names and to be worshipped by falsities and lies. The greatest part of mankind, they corrupted. Sufferance for the trial of man to test man. By falsities and lies, the greatest part of mankind they corrupted to forsake God their creator. So all these tribes, different tribes, human tribes, who worship these false gods, they were led astray by their guiles, their tricks, trickery, and they started worshipping these false gods, not the true God. They built idols and started to worship them. So they were corrupted. And the invisible glory of him that made them to transform off to the image of a brute adorned with gay religions full of pomp and gold. So obviously, Milton refers to the cult of the idol worship. So the idol worship, as Milton says, is a falsification of the true belief. Men changed the invisible God to the or the uncorruptible God into an image of other men, or to birds, or to the four-footed beasts. So these fallen angels, false gods, they took the shape of different animals or birds, or even human forms, in which they were uh, worshipped in different areas of the earth. So image of a brute, all these animals, they were transformed there, with gay religions full of pomp and gold. So obviously with a lot of finery and the riches, they were worshipped. Then and devils to adore for deities. So the devils were started to be worshipped as gods. Then were they known to men by various names and various idols through the hidden world. So they came to be known by different names. All these names that Milton mentions, they came to be known by these names, and different idols were created in the hidden world. The hidden world is the pagan world, that is the non-Christian world. Say muse, their names then known, who first, who last, roused from the slumber on that fiery couch, at their great emperor's call, as next in worth, came singly where he stood on the bare strand, while the promiscuous crowd stood yet aloof. So Milton is asking his muse, that is Urania, is asking to name the fallen angels one by one, who were roused from their stunned state, their slumber or their sleep, on that fiery couch. What is the fiery couch? It is the burning lake. At their great emperor's call, obviously Satan's resounding call. As next in worth came singly, how they followed each other. Who was the first, who was the second, who was the third? They followed each other in a single file. And they stood on the bare strand, that the burning solid plain, burning plain. And while the promiscuous here means a bare, of course, you can understand. There are no trees or plants. And as I told you, Milton is invoking his muse. And this is an invocation to the muse, similar to the invocation made by Homer to the muse in the Iliad to recite the catalogue of the ships, and by Virgil, the great Roman poet, in the Aeneid, when he invoked the muse to sort of mention the list of the warriors. And obviously the promiscuous crowd, as I was saying. So the promiscuous meaning of a mixed nature. They were not alike in nature. Some of them were male and some of them were female. So there were both male and female angels. And they looked different. Their natures were different, and they were worshipped by different tribes. And there were different rituals which were adopted by these pagan worshippers. So the promiscuous crowd stood yet aloft, aloof. So aloof meaning they stood away. So each of these fallen angels had their own armies. So obviously they awoke from that bed of fire at the call of their great emperor, and they came one by one on the bare shore. So now you will come to the catalogue of the devils. The catalogue of the devils, it is a long catalogue. I will, of course, read it with you in my next class tomorrow. You just need to look at that PDF document, which I will upload in the LMS. and then it will be made clear. You will understand all the names of the devils, as I said, their natures, who worship them, their appearances, and the rituals followed by the worshippers. So let me conclude my class here, and I hope that you have understood uh, the so far you have followed